Thank you. I'm happy to see so many of you at the Willards Hotel. As you know, it has been a busy day. A very busy day. But since all of you have taken time from your own busy day in order to visit with me here, it would not be proper for me to disappoint you. But what can I say? What can I say that would not disappoint you? Perhaps your expectations are a little too high. Might be better for me just to remain silent. You know, I'd rather be thought a fool than to speak out and remove all possible doubt. Even so, I'll have to take my chances. You are my friends, and I ask my friends from the newspapers to allow my remarks to remain private. On this day, I cannot say as yet what is the result of this change of administrations. Yes, in November, the people spoke with their votes and made me their president. 7 states have not accepted that result. And no one today can predict what that action will mean. And so much still undecided. I want to thank you all for coming and showing your interest and support. It's not a good time to be alone. I'm really glad that you have come. Of course, I don't know all of you. Well, in fact, I only know a few of you. A very few. But it is good to see you all here. The new faces as well as the old. So many faces. So many young faces. A few older faces. But yet somehow the younger faces seem rather old. Yes, we have all been through so much in the last few weeks. So many struggles. So many sacrifices. You know, back in my own childhood, back in Kentucky, back in the earliest days of being able to read, I got hold of a small book of the life of George Washington. Well, I still remember all the accounts of the battlefields and the struggles for the liberty of this country. And I remember thinking then, even though I was still quite young, that there must have been something more than common that those men fought for so valiantly. Now that I am somewhat older, I'm exceedingly anxious for that thing for which they struggled. That's something that is even more important than national independence. That's something that was held out as a great promise to all people of the world for all time to come. That this principle of liberty should be perpetuated. I shall be happy indeed if I shall remain a humble servant in the hands of the Almighty in the accomplishment of this great task. You know, I've never professed an indifference for the honors of political station. Were I to do so now, I should only appear ridiculous and insincere. Yet I have not failed and will not now fail to remember that in running for political office, well, there's a higher aim than the mere attainment of political office. In running for political office, all men declare to be for liberty. Yet in using that same word, they do not all mean the same thing. To some, the word liberty means that each man should do as he pleases with himself and with the product of his labor. While for other men, that same word means that some men should do as they please with other men and the product of other men's labor. So here then are two, not only different but absolutely incompatible things, both of which are called by that same name, liberty. When when the shepherd drives the wolf from the sheep's throat, to the sheep he is a liberator. But to the wolf, this same act defines the shepherd as a destroyer of all liberty. So it appears that the wolf and the sheep are not yet agreed upon the proper definition of that word, liberty. And that is precisely the same difference that exists today amongst us human creatures. Not just in the north and in the south, but also within the north, amongst those who profess to love liberty. I did not say very much about liberty in my inaugural address because our public duty today is to consider above all the issue of disunion. Whatever the outcome in the next days and weeks may prove to be, I want you all to know that I do not impugn the personal motives of anyone opposed to me. It gives me no satisfaction to triumph over anyone. Yet I do give thanks of any evidence of the people's resolution to stand by and support free government. If you, the people, remain true to yourselves and the Constitution, there is but little harm that can be done. You see, I do not propose a fixed and inflexible course. Instead, I will simply try to do as best I can each day, as each day comes. I claim that I may not control events, but confess plainly that events may control me. Yet I have always believed in my heart that the declaration that all men are created equal is the great fundamental principle upon which all of our free institutions rest. And I can only say, as I have often before said, that it has always been a sentiment with me that all mankind should be free. So far as able, within my sphere, I have always acted as I believed right and just, and have done all I could for the good of mankind generally. And it has always been my intention to conduct the affairs of this administration so that if in the end, when I lay down the reins of power, if I have lost every other friend on earth, I shall at least still have one friend left. And that friend shall be down inside of me, at my very center. All my thoughts, all the thoughts of all of us are anxiously directed toward the future. All dread the thought of war. All seek to avert it. Yes, both sides hope to avoid war. But one of those sides would rather make war than let the nation survive. And the other side would be willing to accept war rather than see the nation perish. And at this time, when there is no war, 1/8 of our entire population are still held as slaves. Slavery is not only a great moral evil, which gives a lie to the promises made in the Declaration of Independence, but also increases such no divisiveness to such a degree as to cause a mortal danger to our Union itself. As I would not be a slave, so I would not be a master. This expresses my idea of democracy. Those who deny freedom to others deserve it not for themselves. And under a just God, they cannot long retain it. You know, I do not believe that I have ever had a serious political conviction that did not spring directly from the Declaration of Independence. Have that document as its source of firmest foundations. There seems to be something said in those words that are written there that demand liberty, not just to the people of this country, but holds out that in that wish of hope to the entire world for all future times. Those words seem to promise that in due time, the weights and bondage of servitude shall be lifted from the shoulders of all men, and that all should be given a fair and equal chance in the race of life. That is the principle which must always endure. That is the true basis of our enduring union. That is the basic principle for which so many men have fought and so many men have died. Now, there may be some inequities in the practical application of our system. Things may be done wrong sometimes, even though the officers of the government do everything they can do to prevent these mistakes from being made. In no administration, it seems, can there ever be perfect equality of action and uniform satisfaction rendered to all. But even so, it is worthy of your every effort. Nowhere in the world does there exist a government of so much liberty and equality. Even the humblest and poorest amongst us are held out the highest privileges and positions. I myself happened temporarily to occupy the White House, very close to this place where we are gathered today. And being there, I am living witness that any of your children may look to reach this office, just as my father's son has done. I am not at all ashamed to confess that 25 years ago, back in Illinois, I was a hired labor, mauling rails, at work on a flatboat. Just what might happen to any poor man's son. And now I want everyone to have an opportunity that is equal to my own. You all have, through this free form of government in which we've engaged, an open field for the full exercise of your industry, enterprise, and intelligence. You all have equal privileges in the race of life. I beg you to remember this. Not merely for my sake, but for your own sakes as well. And again, I must admonish you not to be turned from the stern purpose of defending your beloved country and its free institutions by any arguments urged by ambitious, designing men, but instead hold fast to this union. We can succeed only by concert. It's not a question, can any of us imagine better? But can we all do better? The dogmas of the quiet past are inadequate to the stormy present. The present occasion is piled high with difficulty. And we must rise with this occasion and meet its challenge. As our case is new, so we must be willing to think anew and act anew in order to preserve for all men that which is still the last best hope of earth. Thank you.